All right, welcome to the segment on Repertoire Resource Guide. We're going to talk about how to prepare one of these. One is required for each conducting segment that you will have um, in advanced conducting this summer. So the components of writing a Repertoire Resource Guide, I'm going to go through each of them individually, but the components will be a composer section, composition, historical perspective, technical considerations, stylistic considerations, musical elements, form and structure, and text and translation. And this is all coming directly from the Teaching Music Through Performance series. You probably recognize this. This is from the choral series, but I'm sure a lot of you have these books. So basically, you're just going to prepare one of these for every piece you do. The composer section obviously will be information about the composer of the piece. In the composition section, you want to keep things pretty generic. All you need to talk about is the voicing of the piece, the tempo of the piece, perhaps the tonality of the piece. You can keep it, maybe you want to talk a little bit about the text. If there's anything specific about the composition in which it was written, you might want to save that for the historical perspective. I'll let you decide where you want to put that. The historical perspective is, where is this piece seated within history, right? If you know when it was first performed or why it was written, or if there's something certain about the style of the piece that fits it within a specific part of music history, that's where you'll want to talk about this in the historical perspective. Obviously, it's loosely connected to the composer and the time period and all of these things too. So next you have your technical considerations. So this is where I'll know that you're really preparing the piece. You're looking through the score. You're thinking about what places in the score perhaps are going to give us a little bit of challenge, right? Not difficulty, but challenge. What are the challenging aspects of the piece? What would you want to teach first? What specific part would you always want to hone in on if you were coming back to this piece? Technical considerations could be anything. It could be rhythm, it could be pitch, it could be the range of the playing, it could be diction for a choral piece. So anything that you see technically that may be challenging to someone who's preparing the piece or performing the piece, you obviously will want to have in this section. Stylistic considerations are going to move it back into more of a link with a historical perspective, perhaps, but also just stylistically, how will you approach this as a conductor? How will you want your performers to perform this music? How will they articulate, and how will they express? Musical elements, it talks specifically about the elements of the piece, right? What musical elements are there? What is the texture of the piece? You can get a little more into the tonality of the piece. Is it accompanied? Is it not accompanied? Finally, you have form and structure. If it's apparent, you should talk a little bit about form and structure. This one has, it's kind of outlined for you, but you could also do it in narrative format. Text and translation, obviously only if applicable, and I am not asking you to do the suggested listening and the additional references and resources. You're more than welcome if you would like to, but to put down your reference and resources would be good. So at the end of this, make sure you just show me what you have used to access. You don't need resources for every section, but for some of them, perhaps you will access some resources. So just list those there, and there's no specific way of listing them. Just write them down so that I understand what you contacted for the information. And I think that's all. So please feel free to email me or ask me any questions if that's not clear, but this will be expected for your major conducting units.